It was supposed to be a normal morning. At the police station. Quiet, predictable routine. Officers were sipping coffee, reviewing reports, and getting ready for another day. But everything changed in an instant when the station doors suddenly burst open. A German shepherd, bleeding, exhausted, panting, stumbled inside. At first, officers froze. Then they saw it. A little girl tied at the wrists and ankles draped across the dog's back. Her head rested against his neck, her face pale, her breath shallow. She was barely conscious. Medics! Now! Someone screamed as chaos erupted. But before anyone could even reach the dog, he turned around and looked back at the door and barked urgently. He hadn't just come for help. He had come to lead them to something far worse. He wants us to follow, an officer shouted. No one understood what they were about to uncover, and when officers followed him, they were stunned by what they found. Stay with us because this story will leave you speechless. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. Morning at the police station was calm. Too calm. Officers chatted casually, signing reports, sipping lukewarm coffee, settling into what felt like an ordinary shift. The hum of printers, the clatter of keyboards, the familiar rhythm filled the room. Then the front door slammed open. Every officer turned. A German shepherd, muddy, bleeding, barely able to stand, staggered into the room, his paws scraped against the floor, his sides heaving, his fur matted with dirt and blood. But the real shock wasn't his injuries. It was the little girl slumped across his back. Her wrists were tied with rough rope. Her face was pale, stray with dirt and dried tears. Her tiny fingers twitched weakly as her cheek pressed against the dog's neck. She wasn't unconscious, but she was slipping fast. Oh my God, get medics! An officer screamed. Chairs crashed. Radios clicked. Chaos erupted. But the dog didn't flinch. He stood firm, eyes locked on the doorway he just come through. Even as blood dripped from his side, he barked short, sharp, desperate. One bark, then another. He wasn't here for help alone. He was trying to lead them back. Something or someone was still out there, and time was running out. Medics rushed through the station doors, sliding to their knees beside the injured dog and the unconscious little girl. Officers gently lifted her from the shepherd's back, cutting through the ropes that had dug deep into her wrists. Her skin was cold, her breathing faint, pulse weak. Start and 4. A medic ordered. The girl flinched at the touch, her eyes fluttering open. For a moment, she stared blankly at the ceiling. Then, panic flooded her face. No, no, don't. Take me back, she cried, shrinking away from the hands, trying to help her. It's okay, Officer Daniels whispered, kneeling beside her. You're safe now. You're safe. Her gaze darted around the room until it landed on the German shepherd. Despite his wounds, he stood watch, refusing to rest. The girl reached out a trembling hand toward him. He saved me, she whispered. He carried me. He didn't let him take me. Again. Officers exchanged stunned looks. Who Daniels asked gently. Who did this to you? The girl swallowed hard, tears spilling down her cheeks. He said he'd come back for the others. The room fell silent. Others? The officers realized with a jolt this rescue wasn't over. It was just beginning. The moment the little girl whispered, "Others," the entire station shifted from panic to mission mode. Officers grabbed radios, vests, rifles. Every second suddenly mattered. But before anyone could ask another question, the German shepherd barked sharply and limped toward the door. "He wants us to follow, officer," Daniel said. Despite his injuries, the dog pushed forward with surprising strength. Officers exchanged looks, then followed him out of the station and into the trees behind the building. His paws left faint drops of blood on the dirt, but he didn't slow. He moved with purpose, urgency, desperation. "Stay close," the sergeant ordered. "If he carried her out, the others can't be far." The deeper they went, the quieter the woods became. No birds, no wind, just the sound of boots crunching leaves, and the dog's strained breathing. Then Rex, finally revealed by his collar tag, stopped. He growled low, staring ahead. The officers raised their flashlights and froze. Hidden beneath branches and leaves was a makeshift campsite, ropes, blankets, empty food cans, signs of children being kept there. And next to a fallen log, tiny footprints. "Dear God," someone whispered. "How many were here?" Rex barked again. He wasn't done guiding them. Another trail awaited. Rex's growl deepened as the officers spread out around the abandoned campsite. Flashlights moved across torn blankets, broken zip ties, and a half-buried cooler filled with empty water bottles. Everything pointed to children being held here recently. "Over here," an officer called. They rushed toward a small, crooked shed, barely visible, behind thick bushes. The door hung crooked, secured only by a rusted chain. Rex lunged at it, barking violently, scratching the wood until splinters flew. Daniels cut the chain with bolt cutters. The door creaked open. Inside, two terrified children huddled together. One boy and one girl, dirty, bruised, and trembling. "It's okay," Daniels whispered, lowering his voice. "You're safe now. We're here." But the boy shook his head. "He's still out there. The man, he said he'd come back. And the dog," the girl whispered, staring at Rex with wide eyes. "He fought him. He chased him away. Then he ran off. We thought he was hurt." Officers exchanged stunned looks. Rex hadn't just saved one girl. He fought a grown man, freed the children, and then carried the youngest miles to safety. The sergeant exhaled, jaw tight. If he fought the kidnapper once, Rex suddenly snapped his head toward the trees, ears up. "He's back," Daniels murmured, and Rex was ready. Rex's body stiffened, every muscle tightening as he stared into the dark line of trees. A low growl rumbled in his chest, deeper, sharper than before. The officers raised their weapons, forming a protective circle around the rescued children. "Eyes up," the sergeant ordered. "He's close." A twig snapped, then another. Footsteps slow, cautious, approaching from the shadows. Rex couldn't wait. With a furious bark, He bolted forward, ignoring the pain in his injured leg. Daniel shouted after him, but Rex was already tearing through the brush. Officers sprinted behind him, flashlights slicing through the darkness. Then they saw him, a man in torn clothes, face scratched, dragging a duffel bag as he tried to reach a parked truck hidden behind the trees. He whipped around in panic the moment he heard Rex's snarl. "Stop! Police!" Daniels yelled. The kidnapper didn't stop. He ran. Rex launched himself, slamming into the man's side. Both crashed to the ground. The man swung wildly, landing a blow on Rex's ribs, but the dog refused to release him. Officers rushed in, tackling the man, pinning his arms behind his back. "He thought he could outrun us," the sergeant muttered. Daniels knelt beside Rex, stroking his fur. "You did it, buddy." But Rex simply looked toward the children, making sure they were safe. The moment officers radioed in that the kidnapper was in custody, cheers erupted across the search perimeter. But the loudest celebration came when the children, now wrapped in warm blankets, were carried toward the waiting ambulances. Emma's mother sprinted forward first, falling to her knees as she pulled her daughter into her arms. Tears streamed down her face as she kissed every bruise, every scratch. My baby, you're home," she sobbed. Emma looked past her mother's shoulder. "Where's the dog?" Rex limped out from behind the officers, still battered, still bleeding, but standing tall. The girl reached out and he gently pushed his nose into her hand. Her smile trembled. "He saved me," she whispered. "He saved all of us." News spread quickly. Cameras arrived. Reporters gathered. The story of the heroic dog who carried a child on his back traveled across the country within hours. That evening, the police department held an emergency ceremony. Officers lined up, saluting as Rex received a special medal for bravery, the highest honor ever given to a K9. Families cried. Officers applauded. Emma hugged Rex tightly as flashes lit the room. And in that moment, everyone knew Rex wasn't just a police dog. He was a hero who refused to give up no matter the